Hello and welcome to the Make Ideas Reality podcast. I'm Justin White, aka the Garage Avenger. Turning dreams into reality is kind of what I'm all about. I come up with crazy ideas and then I try to find a way to make them reality. And that's why I called this podcast Make Ideas Reality. I wanted to inspire and give my audience the tools to push through the barriers that are stopping them from making their ideas reality. My guest today, Giacomo Di Muro, otherwise known as Giaco Whatever, seems to smash through those barriers. Well, maybe not smash through them, but at least leap over them like Super Mario. Giaco has pioneered his way into product design and manufacturing from his humble beginnings as a maker on YouTube. Today, we delve into the way he sees the world and how that has shaped the way he approaches his work. Giaco shares with us what has been critical to his success. We dig deep into how he turns an idea into reality, such as the Maker Knife, and we hear about his newest Kickstarter project, No Shortcuts. Giaco is one person you want to listen to if you're ever thinking about making something and selling it. So please stick around and enjoy the show. The freedom to make whatever helped him start this endeavor. The grit to stand alone in the face of difference makes his work stand out with voliferance. Welcome to the show, Giaco from Giaco Whatever.
Nice. You did it.
I got that word. I got that last word. I got it. Yes.
Very cool. Thank you for that.
Now we met. Actually, we met back in 2019. You were cruising around Maker Central, and then I saw you again this year. Just last week it was, and I nabbed you, I cornered you, and you had actually me and Jimmy cornered you, and then Jimmy put the press on, and then you said yes only because Jimmy pressed you. So now you're on the show. So before we get started, I wondered, do you want to introduce yourself? Who is Giaco?
Sure. Well, thank you for having me. First of all, I have to say it, and actually, I want to say one thing. How great Maker Central is. Like, right? Honestly. Like, we just got back from it, and it's so exciting. Like, almost, I think I told you, actually, when I went there and I saw Jimmy for the first time after 2 years, I started crying like a baby. I couldn't talk, but everything was just, I had a lot of, I mean, you could notice that I was crying when I saw Jimmy, but I was so excited to, see all the people again, or fly, taking an airplane, going outside. Anyway, sorry about that. So who am I? I am Giaco. It's not my real name. My real name is Giacomo Di Muro. And I don't really have, an elevator pitch for what I do, but a lot of stuff that I do are on YouTube. I think at least the things that I think people might like, and I'm often wrong about that, but I like making stuff. I like learning things literally every day, and YouTube is the best way to give me, the opportunity, but I would call it the excuse to learn new things that otherwise would be like waste of time. But now I can say, I'm doing that for a video. So it becomes everything, legit. And I started making things when I was super young, but virtual stuff. I'm super excited. I always been super excited to make things. And of course I started virtually because that was like the only way at that time. Like, I had a computer at one point, and that was like the primary tool to make things that, big company could do. And if you think about it, like, making products, it was not the same way. Like, it's not as democratized in a way. Right. It didn't used to be like that. Like, the only way, when I was at least young, the only way to, make the same things that the big guys were making was through the computer, because the only thing that you needed besides, the computer was like your ideas, and you're willing to learn how to make the stuff. And then in the internet, they could be, as big as anyone else. And it was not the same thing with physical stuff. Like in the last, I think, 10, 15 years, this has been super democratized with like rapid prototyping with 3D printing, or software to, CAD design stuff that are like basically free. It was not like that, I think, 10, 15 years ago. You could probably do, crafty stuff, but even, making things out of wood was not that accessible. Like you needed the space, you needed, expensive tools. Now, if you actually want to make a product, you can, start with like a few €100 or dollars or whatever.
Yeah,
which is absolutely great.
Things are so accessible now. At Maker Central, a Finnish guy showed me that I could just draw something on a bit of paper, use Adobe Clip, and then transfer that into a CAD file, and then I could just 3D print it.
I know. It's insane.
Crazy.
I mean,
it's insane. Like that's bonkers.
Yeah. I mean, I saw the same things, like the same stuff that really got me into making things on, online. I saw the same thing happening little by little with like making products. And then, well, I took it a little bit over that point. And now, I own like this huge place where I can, or where I want to make anything that I, can imagine. I'm not there yet, but I'm at a good, the trending is pointing the right way.
Right.
And it is super, super exciting, like being able to make things. I think it's my primer. It's what I wake up in the morning, like, creating something. It can be like very stupid things, or like things that maybe, some people buy, but it doesn't matter.
Well, that's why I brought you on the show, because today we're going to be talking about turning your dreams into reality. And, I didn't want to just bring you on the show because, one, you're a good looking Italian man, and two,
I agree.
but I, you've made a career of turning your dreams into physical products, and then doing that in your own unique style and way of thinking. And you've had some very successful product launches, and you don't seem to be slowing down. And I wanted to be able to delve a little deeper into the way you think about things, to hopefully inspire and help our audience realize their potential and go make their weird, crazy ideas a reality. So keeping that in mind, I wanted to go back a little bit and ask you a little bit. You had a very successful internet startup in your early years, which you sold a few years back. And now you do something essentially very different from an internet startup. What was the driving force that made you go from the digital world to the physical world?
Well, I think I actually kind of said it earlier. For me, like making things, it's really, I don't know, I guess it's the only way that I see myself living this life. The reason why I started on the internet, with the computer, was just because it was accessible to me at that time. I mean, I don't know, 15 when I started, making. I think it's actually a great question. I had this question other times, but I'm not sure I have the exact answer for now.
Was it something about holding a physical product and that joy? Because I feel like that's part of what I enjoy. When I've built something from my head and got it in my hands, and I'm like, wow, I did this,
Yeah, that's actually what I normally say, and which is absolutely true. Even like being able to show my parents and see that they understand what I'm doing is great. It was not the case when I was doing, algorithms and stuff on internet. They didn't care. Like, now I can, touch a maker knife and show them what they can do, which is great. But I think it goes, I actually think I switched because I like touching what I make, but also because I think it's even, I think there's a way with physical things to change. I'm trying to think of a way to say it that it's not cheesy, because I hate saying what I have in my mind right now, but I'm going to say it anyway.
Do it.
Changing people's life, in a better way, with physical products. I think it's easier right now, and by that I don't mean like saving the population by some sort of something. I just make real products with an intent to then make greatest products in the future. Like, I have in my mind stuff that can actually make a change in a good way to people. But to do that, I need a lot more information, skills, and money. Like, that's the primary force that makes ideas reality. And I need a lot of that to make what I actually want to make. And I'm just enjoying the journey now. I'm making products that I would use, products that I want to use every day, which is fun. The journey is super fun. And a lot of people see what I'm doing now as a ending point, like a finish line. But I'm actually just started. Like, I'm trying to make products and the money to then make what I actually want to make in the future. And this place and the Kickstarter and all that is just part of it.
Yeah, because we had a podcast, the last podcast actually. I was talking with my wife about Maker Central, and we were talking about how technology has sort of kind of pushed us away from developing as humans. We often find it super hard to be like together with a big group of people, socialization, that sort of stuff. And I wonder, like, I talked about changing the conversation from using the phone as a device to using the phone as an instrument, a tool we use. And I find it interesting because what you do is you're creating things that people can use as tools or instruments, and that allows them to have input and determine what the product does and how it works. Whereas a phone, and technology is like, everything is just so easy. And like, you want to find something, you just press a button. You want to, start dating, you just swipe to left or right. I don't even know, because I've never been on a dating app, but but yeah, I mean, and I think that's kind of what's interesting. It's like creating a physical world is kind of refreshing.
Yeah, I mean, even just the email that we get pretty often of like stories that people share with us of stuff that they like, things that they experience with our products. I never had the same stuff with like the virtual things. Like stories that go from a firefighter that used the maker knife and he sent us a picture to take someone out of a car, which is absolutely incredible. And another time, even just a guy who, I'm trying not to cry here, but because this one is kind of, but he gave with his dad, they used to buy things and then unbox them together and talk about it. And this guy sent me an incredible email telling me the story when his dad was like almost going to the other world, or he died basically, and the last thing they did together was the maker knife, opening the maker knife and talking about it.
Wow.
And I don't think you can do that with a dating app, or I don't know, something virtual. Like there's an amount of connection there with like a physical product. Imagine these two people, having their last time together with my product, with something that I 3D printed a few years back. It's I don't know. I don't think you can have the same with a website or stuff like that.
Yeah, and I think that comes down to like your stuff is a little different from everything, and I wonder how critical, has being different been to your success, with both your design stuff and also with your YouTube stuff. I mean, because you have a certain video style as well, right? Which you eventually came to after a couple of years. So how important has that been to your success, do you think?
I think being different in what you do is not like one trick. It's just, to me, I think is the only way to be able to do things. And you mentioned the videos that I make, that they look a little different. That was just me compensating for the lack of skills. Because, if you think about it, like, back in the day when I started, my idol was, of course, the great Jamie DiResta, right? And let's say it, like, Jimmy DiResta's style of making videos sucks. Like, I told him, like, it's not a great way to make videos.
Yeah.
But what's great about his videos is his skills, his way of using tools and all that makes it great, right? So then there's me, a guy from Italy who just started making things with his hands, that wanted to make videos. And my videos has always been like me learning how to do things. I'm not, teaching anyone how to do stuff. So why would you watch like a crappy speed up video of me messing up and, learning how to do things and probably showing you to do anything? Then I had to compensate with like making something that was like pleasant to look, So I started, developing this kind of style that was like cinematic, that was not, at least that I know, no one was doing, maker videos with that kind of style. So that was my way to compensate. I had to give something. Let's make something that is like pleasant.
And your workshop though was quite dark, so it kind of worked for you, right? With that sort of mood lighting and everything that was going on, right?
To be honest, I looked for a shop that was dark. Like, that's my way. Even in the first videos, the first were in my basement, and I just blocked the light. The second one was a little, room that I rented somewhere else to make dust, not close to my washing machine. and I blocked the light there as well. And then I found this place, which was my basically third shop, that was like completely with no windows. And I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. I can control light here. I can do whatever I want. And so that worked out very well. And now I'm in this one that actually has like 400 windows or something like that, 350 windows. But we put like, where I want to control the lights, we put like things to block the light here. It's a little bit more complicated. But I think that the dark mood comes from my days, making things on the computer. I was doing most of my work, hiding from my parents at night. And for me, like, working was like being in a dark environment with what I'm doing, with what I'm making. That's the only thing that it's lit up. I think that stuck to me as a style, and I keep doing that. This is also why I always have sunglasses. Like, I don't like light that much.
You should move up here into Norway. There's plenty of darkness around here, especially around winter. So mind you, nowadays it's not dark till 9 o'clock, but yeah.
I
wondered too, like, you also chose a name for your YouTube channel, Giaco Whatever, and also your creations are as in your products are quite diverse as well. I mean, not only on your YouTube channel, but like you got the Make a Knife, and then what did you call the calendar? I'm sure I've lost the name of it. The calendar's behind you.
Omni calendar.
Omni calendar. Yeah, and I mean, just look at those two projects before we go into any of the others. But I mean, they're vastly different. One's a bit of paper, and one cuts paper, like it's steel and plastic and and aluminium and all that sort of stuff. So, yeah, I mean, how important was it was it a conscious decision not to be pigeonholed into one type of content or product?
Yes. And by the way, it's not a great idea. Like, actually, if you want to grow a channel or a company or anything, it's a lot better if people expect something from you, and they know if they want to find something, they go to you because they know what you're making and stuff like that. Mostly in the YouTube stuff, it's really wrong not to have like a clear, I don't even know how to call it, but like if I'm a woodworker and only make videos about woodworking, people go to my channel because they know what they find.
Right.
But if they don't know it, and every time there's like a video that is like different, and one day I do this, another day I do that, and it's not just making either. It's a little bit confusing, and people that subscribe, they go like, I don't care about this shit. Why is he showing me that stuff? I don't want to see it. I unsubscribe, and they go like, this video sucks, just because it's not what they expected.
Right.
And it's not a great idea, but I can't do it. Like, it's been like that forever. Like, I can't stick to one thing, which has always been actually a problem. Like, now we can call it like my philosophy, to learn different things, do different things, make different things. But what's now my philosophy, it started as a problem. And everyone was telling me that, like my parents, like I keep talking about them, but like, having dinners where I got excited about something, and I work by obsessions. So like, I don't know, there's a new thing. Let's make an example, like free diving, right? I got obsessed with free diving at one point, and they were like, okay, like in 3 months, you don't even, do that. Like, you're not going to care about that. And I always took that as like a failure, like why I can't stick to something. I have friends that they become the best at that particular thing. They dedicate their life to that thing. I'll never get that good, as they are. And it's been a problem forever. Like, I really felt like a failure, like a person that could never, finish something. But then at one point, I realized it's the best advantage that I could ask for, because right now, if I want to learn a new thing, for me, it's super easy, because I learned so many other things that are probably not related, but they give you some sort of, notions and things that make it a lot easier to learn something. That's why when I start a new thing, when I learn a new thing, I actually become pretty good really quickly, but then I'll never become, the best at it. Like my curve goes like this, and then super long, where I'll probably never get to the best, or not even like at 90%. But then I get to 80% really quickly, which is, I think it's an advantage, because every time I make like even a new product, and for example, the next product that I'm hopefully launching in July, maybe, I don't know.
You heard it first here, guys.
Let's keep it for the after show. I can tell you what it is, not how it is, but what it is. But anyway, there's like electronics in it.
Awesome. Yeah.
And I've never done much of electronics, but like learning what I needed, it was a lot easier for me because there were so many connections with things that I already know that like it was actually pretty quick, even to talk with to people that make electronics. It was not like talking with someone that knew nothing about it, because I could actually reply and make the right questions. And you develop that skill if you're able to learn new things every day. So that's why now is a good thing.
Yeah, I had Andy Berkey. Do you know who Andy Berkey is? Yeah.
Yeah.
I had him on way early in the show. And in fact, I just released a spotlight episode with him, like a short episode. And in that episode, I specifically clipped a part where we were talking about maker fluency. It's his term he uses. But it's kind of like the idea of like just picking up enough so that you can transfer skills across skills. And just developing it. So you're not like a specialist, but you pick enough of it up so that you can understand the fundamentals of it, and then you can transfer those fundamentals over to a new skill and pick that up quicker, and it kind of just ramps up quicker because you have this vast knowledge. And it comes back down to that whole saying, was it go again? Jack of all trades, master of one, master of none, better than being a master of one. And I think that's maker fluency, and this kind of feels like what you talked about. It's like when you're not pigeonholing yourself, you're just constantly picking up new skills, and it allows you to be more creative and come up with your new products, which you hopefully launching soon.
But it can go even above that. Like it doesn't even have to be like, that's a great example for stuff that you make as a maker, but it goes beyond that. Like even things that they don't look like they're connected in any way possible, they're actually super connected. Like you always find things, like even now that I'm I think I told you at Maker Central that I started paragliding. There were already so many things that I knew that were not like new for me, that I learned in many different things that are not connected at all with paragliding. And it was actually, for me, even that was super easy to pick up as a skill. And every time I'm super grateful that my way of living is like learning stuff every day, even when you don't think it's gonna be useful for you. It's always actually pretty useful. So if I'll ever have a kid, I think I'll never stop in doing stupid things, because everything is precious.
Well, it seems to have developed you. I mean, we talked a little bit about paragliding at Make Essential, and I actually would love to try it. I think it would be so freaking cool. And I think I asked you something like, what is it? Is it an escape? Is it like a freedom thing, or is it like, what is it for you? And you sort of said it comes back down to your philosophy of like trying new things every day and then getting out of your comfort zone. Do you think those skills are definitely like, could you find any skills that you have in paragliding that you could transfer to product development, or is it sort of just, I don't know, in the air and maybe something comes along later?
No, I mean, I look at things in a different way. Like when I had to pick up my I don't know what's the name in English, but the things that you actually sit on, let's say. I don't know, it must have a name, but I don't know it. I was looking at attachments, like the carabiners. I was looking at those in a different way, and I found like an attachment that it's like I've never seen before, and it was so exciting. Even I saw all the different kind of attachments. There's one for like which is not for paragliding, but it's for free diving. No, what it's called,
base
parachuting.
Yeah,
base jumping or whatever. It's like 3 rings that interlocks together, and when you take there's like a wire that goes through them. When you take that off, everything detaches.
Mm.
And it's so great. Like that's like a super simple thing. And if I knew that earlier, like even to make like a quick release in stuff that I did here, I'm pretty sure I'm going to use that. And or the materials that this kind of stuff is made. Like I asked my teacher if he can give me like an old beat up paragliding thing, because I want to try the material to make stuff. I don't know. And this is just the two things that I can think of, but there's, I'm sure, a lot more, even like fluid dynamic that you learn because being in the air. There's a lot of that, and the Bernoulli, all those rules and laws of physics that I actually knew already because I fly airplanes as well. So there was a lot there that I picked up. And when I actually learned to fly planes, I already knew a lot of things because I was building and flying RC planes and drones.
Right.
And like I can connect stuff to, I don't know, since I was born, probably. It's amazing how everything is super connected.
Well, I've seen some in like some of your designs too. Like you can kind of see that influence of like, aeronautics, right? I can see in quite a few of your products and videos, like projects, like the aeronautics sort of feel to things.
Yeah.
Not just the giant wing desk that you made, but but like other things, just in the way things are designed. It looks like it might be on a plane or part of a plane or a switch, for example, that would be on a plane, for example. I think, we have to take into account like the simplest things that we do can influence us, and just taking in as much, into our world and getting out of our comfort zone can help us develop like connections, which makes interesting ideas, right?
Yeah.
Talking about ideas, I wondered if you could perhaps break down a bit of your process, because this is what kind of this show's all about.
Mm-hmm.
Where does the process start, and how do you go from like an idea that's kind of like swimming around your head and then move it forward to eventually make it reality? And I wondered if you could go into as much detail here, as much as you want to, of course, because this I think could really help a lot of people if they've got a product idea or even just a project idea that they're trying to develop.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think you'll have to help me stay on track, because this is a topic that I can talk hours. And
sorry, guys, this podcast now is going for 4 hours. Let's let's do this. Let's go.
Hopefully, I'll tell you. I unload things, trying to make sense of what I'm saying, but it's going to be hard. Anyway, first of all, there's one thing that is super dangerous about ideas, is that as soon as you have a new idea, you're in love with it.
Oh yeah.
As soon as you have a new idea, it always seems like the best idea ever. And you're super in love with it. You only think about it in a positive way. So you think this is going to be great. It's going to work. People is going to love it. And, I'm fixing so many problems, which I heard from, I don't know, some business school guy that, fixing problems is the secret of everything. So knowing that, what I do, because I have a lot of ideas, I try to forget about them. Like, I'm not one of those guys who writes down everything. I try on purpose to forget about it. And if it's there for a really long time, it's a good indication that's actually good.
Isn't that interesting? That's a great way to filter out this shit.
Yeah, it is, because if I can't stop thinking about it, and it keeps, in my head for like even like months.
Mm.
In that time, first of all, the idea kind of evolves by itself. Like I don't even try, and it keeps popping up in my head with like a new vision or something. And then, if it's still there after a few months, I start actually thinking about making it, or ways to make it. And the other aspect that is actually really important uh, for like little companies, or for guys that are not even a company, they want to start, making products to sell. I think what changed me a lot is being sure that the products that I'm trying to make is for myself, because I don't have the budget or the experience or anything, or even I'm not presentious enough to think about products for other people. I don't know how to make a toy for a kid, because I'm not a kid anymore. I don't know how to make, I don't know, something for other people. I don't know. Like I had a person, is a friend of mine actually, that he had this idea for a product. I can't say what it is, because otherwise he knows I'm talking about him. But he had an idea for a product, and I know for a fact, because he's a friend of mine, that he never bought a similar product. Let me make a fake example so I can talk about it. Let's say that this person wanted to make a light bulb, right?
Right.
And I know for sure that he never bought a light bulb. Like he doesn't know what people that love light bulbs want. He just thought of an idea, and he thought it was a great idea. And he was thinking the people who like light bulbs are going to like this. No? And this is so stupid. Like it's actually, a lot of people do that, but it's really a bad idea to think that without knowing the market, or without knowing what actual enthusiasts for that thing look for, it's just impossible. That like the easiest way is to make products for the market that you know the best, which is yourself. Like if you're making a product that you're sure you're going to use every day, then I mean try doing that. You know what I mean? I don't know if it's clear, but it happened to me with everything I made so far. Like the Maker knife, I started wearing a utility knife, and I was frustrated by things. If I had to make the knife, it had to be a product that I would use every day.
Right.
The kinetic driver, same thing. It started because for the Maker knife, I was, unscrewing and screwing like 1,000 screws a day. And I found myself using like the heaviest screwdriver that I have, that coincides with the worst that I have. But because of, the mass, it was like easy to turn it, because, it creates this flywheel effect that I couldn't find in like professional screwdrivers. They actually tend to make them as light as possible, because they're better to carry or whatever. So I made the kinetic driver because I knew I would use it every day. So there's a good chance that if you make something for yourself, there's going to be other people interested in the same thing. And this is a lesson that I got from YouTube. No matter what you do on YouTube, if you actually make it because you love it, you're going to find people that love it as well.
Right. I think that goes a little bit what you talked about. Sorry, I got it over. I think that's a little bit what you talked about before, like where we talk about pigeonholing. Like, who gives a crap? Like the people who like you as a person and what you do, in all various forms will follow you. And I think in
Yeah.
some, you're not going to be the biggest YouTuber, but if you're
Yeah.
okay with that, then that's better than having a fake following and doing things you hate doing just to get video and fucking numbers. That doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah. And I tried that too. It's not like, it's easy to say these kind of things when you've never made like a viral video. Like
that's me through and through.
When I no, but seriously, it's if I was saying that without having tried what making great numbers on YouTube was like, then it could be like, I don't know, you're talking just because you can't, right? But I did it. Like I did viral videos, and I did it. I did them with the purpose of making a viral video. When I did the first big viral video, which was like the fidget spinner thing, which is now, I don't know, over 30 million views or something like that. I did it with the intent of making it viral. I had like 5 different ideas. I would try all 5 until I get like a viral video, because I knew that at that point having big numbers was like a great thing for me. I thought it would be a lot better than what it was, but I found out pretty quickly that it doesn't create what I actually need to make my products and what I actually want to do. I mean, it would have been a great way to make money and to live out of it, and probably do what a lot of people would like, but for me was not the way. Like I knew from the beginning that what I want to, the real goal is a secret for now, and I knew that wasn't making me any closer. Right. Like it was great to grow at that moment. I'm glad I did it, but I'm also glad that I took the conscious decision to stop making that kind of videos. And right now, making a video that makes like, I don't know, 5,000 views, it's a lot better than that one does, 30 million or whatever.
Yeah, but you have to think about that too. Is like that's 5,000 people that actually care what you're doing.
Oh yeah.
Opposed to 30 million. Well, maybe if you're lucky, 29 million of those 30 don't give a flying fuck about you and what you're doing.
Oh yeah.
Right. So I feel like that's a good conversation to have maybe another time. But let's get back onto your you said it.
I told you.
You said it. Let's get back onto your process. Now you come up with an idea. You've had it swimming around your head for a while. You've forgotten about it, and then it keeps on coming up again. You finally decide, right, I've got to start on this project to make it reality, start making it a reality. What's the next step?
The next step is making so depending what the idea is, like start sketching out or designing on 3D the most stupid way to make that possible. For instance, the kinetic driver, I wish I had it here, but the idea was having a screwdriver that had like the flywheel effect. So what I designed was a cylinder. Let's say, I don't know if people are going to see it, but it was like a long cylinder with like a disc at the bottom.
I've seen pictures of it.
A screwdriver with a flywheel.
Yeah.
So, and I immediately 3D printed, which is one thing that a lot of people do wrong, is keep changing the design in the CAD software, in my case, Fusion 360. Keep making changes and thinking about how to change and like make, I don't know, 10 different versions and not printing one. For me, it's the total complete opposite. Like you have to print or make prototypes, even if you change the position of a screw. This is what has to be super clear here, even with the other guys, since I'm not alone anymore. We have to print everything, because you learn so many things by, holding it in your hand. Actually, where is I have to hide stuff in my. Can you see my desk? No, okay.
No.
I have stuff that you can't see. It. I got. Oh shit! I had to check before. Well, anyway, and every time you make a different iteration, you learn things. You see what can be done different. You see how it feels, and it's the most important thing. Like sometimes we do like 3 different prototypes in one day, and that teaches you a lot.
Well, it's
actually funny story. I had a friend of mine who was making a little product, and he worked on the design for quite some time, probably like 3 weeks, and then he printed it for the first time. And what had to be like a really small product, when he printed it, it was like this big, like I don't know, 10 times the size that he imagined it would look like. And if it printed, the first prototype the first day, it didn't have to waste 3 weeks to discover that probably the size was not right in the beginning.
Because I used to think, it's funny because it feels stupid for me to say this to you, who's such a big fan of 3D printing, but I used to think 3D printing was cheating, and and the reason why is I liked the idea of like getting a square block of material and shaping it and doing things sort of by hand ish, not fully by hand. And I thought I didn't like the idea of digitally, doing something and then just pressing play and have it create. But then I was making this voice controlled sofa beer fridge, and I decided I wanted to make a bottle opener remote for it, in the case I didn't want to yell at the sofa and say, "Sofa, beer me." I just wanted to be able to push a button and it would do its thing as well. So, I went to my friend's house and I said, "Can we 3D print it?" And, I have no experience in Fusion 360 or 3D printing. And, so just watched him. We drew it up in about probably 20 minutes, maybe less. And then it was printing, and 4 hours later we had it. Yeah. And I just thought about that. It was a game changer for me. I couldn't believe for those 4 hours, I could have done something else too, right? Instead of just watching the machine like I did, because I was so amazed by it. I was like, oh my God, look at this thing. So yeah,
that is exactly the point. Like I talk about 3D printing because right now, for what I do, is the quickest way to get to what you actually need. Imagine doing 50, 60, 70 prototypes by hand. Like, what's the added value besides the fact that you're not going to do them, you're not going to make them? And even like I see people, I have friends who make stuff, they're great machinists. They can use like a milling machine like I brush my teeth. So they think their way to make prototypes is by machining it. But then they spend so much time doing that they're not willing to change the design when they see stuff that don't work or that they could be better. They just go, I spent all these hours making this. I don't care if I could change like a centimeter that thing and making it a lot better. So I'm a fan of 3D printing, not because it's a magical way of not wasting time or cheating, but because it gives me the effect that I really need to design a product, which is, iterations over iterations.
Yeah, I mean, you have a lot of, generally, like how often do you change the design? Like in your Maker knife, for example, like how many design variations did you have before you got to the final result?
My God. The Maker knife just 3D printed. I think it was like, I don't know, close to 100 probably.
Right.
Like imagine making 100 prototypes in metal.
No, not a chance.
And that was just before getting to the metal part.
Right.
And there, which is funny, what I said before about the Maker knife, about making prototypes, the first thing that you have to do is like making the most simple shape just to, serve the purpose, like getting to the idea. And it's funny because naturally, the shape of the metal knife, at one point, we made a lot of different shapes to make it like sexier, having it like with lines that it would look like more tactical and all that bullshit. And it actually, after like a few, 20 different designs, we realized that the simplest shape that we did from the beginning was actually the sexiest one, because it was just there for a reason. And that's when I learned that actually, which is one thing that I don't want to do, or actually that it's important in my products. If a shape is there, it serves a purpose. Like I'm against making, sexy lines or machine stuff that they just look good, because if it looks good for me, doesn't mean that someone else finds it beautiful. But if it's useful for me, there's a higher chance that it's useful for other people. For instance, the Maker knife had straight edges, right? That serves a purpose. If I made that like sexier and turned with like bevels and I don't know, it wouldn't be. It would be probably nice for me in that moment, but probably not in 10 years, and most probably not for everyone. So I think another great aspect that, not great, but important for me is like having, which is actually what Dieter Ram says. So if a feature is in the product, it's because it serves a purpose, and not like going, towards the latest design trends and stuff like that. I think it's pretty important.
So you 3D print many iterations. You finally get to a design you like. You start making it in materials that you like, and obviously, I'm assuming there's quite a lot of I can't say the word. Iterations. That's what I'm trying to get that way. In of course the final product materials. Then what happens? Do you feel like you have to then start marketing? Do you do testing with other people? Like, how does it all sort of work like that?
So after when the 3D printing for me is like having the minimal viable product. So proving that it can be done. Getting as close as possible as the finished product that you can actually go out and use it, which I did with the Maker knife and the kinetic driver. I was using the 3D printed version for like a while. Actually, I always keep with me the last prototype. I literally go to bed with my latest prototype of the day. Like I sleep with it close to me, and I touch it. Whatever I do, I eat with that thing in front of me. It's always with me, because real world, or even like having it in your hand without thinking about it, it teaches you a lot. Like the shape, like this is annoying. Why does it have that? All that kind of things. But it's also because I get so obsessed with what I'm making that I want to have it with me all the time. And this is why I can't show you my desk right now.
So basically, if you want to annoy your girlfriend or wife, become a product designer like Giaco.
Yeah,
because you're gonna she's gonna have to share that bed with the Maker knife or the kinetic driver or whatever else he's making.
Which is not that much of a problem until I'm making small things. But let's say I want to make a motorbike, that's going to be a problem.
Oh my God.
Well, so 3D printing is that. And then after that, you need to figuring out ways to produce it, which is a total different beast. You need to think about materials, what's the best way to make it. Normally, while I'm designing it, now that I have a little bit more experience, it was not the case when I did the Make a Knife, which was my first product. But now I kind of have it always in the back of my head. I try to think when I have to produce it, what's going to be like. You know, you can just think about an incredible shape that then you can produce in the material you want. So now that I have a little bit more experience, I can think about that. But it was not the case in the beginning. So finished 3D printing, if there's going to be metal, you need to figure out what exact kind of metal, what kind of finishes. And at this point, this is possibly the most expensive phase, because you need to figure out who's going to make the parts. And my way of finding the perfect companies is we have like a bunch of fake products that we designed, and we send them to as many companies as possible to just do samples, and then, you know, use those products as tests.
Interesting.
And see what they can actually do, how they, you know, deliver, even like asking questions or sending emails in the middle of the night and see what happens, you know, all that kind of stuff, and see the final product. And then also like when you want to do stuff in China, it's even more important, because China is great. Like China, if you want to go to the moon, they take you to the moon. If you want to can make really crappy things that are super cheap. But in the middle, there's a lot of people that pretend to be a company, and they probably are just, you know, sourcing other people to make the products. And so making the fake products is a great way to test them and figure out if they're real or not. This is, as I said, super expensive, but it's something that actually is an asset for my company right now, because I have a set of great company that I know by heart, and I eat with them. I'm almost, you know, friendly with them, and I wouldn't be able to do it if I just went to the first guy who can, you know, make a part or whatever. So this is an ever-growing asset that is incredibly expensive, but also really valuable.
I think that's a valuable point you bring up, is that, you know, when you start manufacturing this, it's a bloody piranha pit. They're like people just gonna eat you up if you're not careful. And so it seems like you've tested the waters a lot. And, you know, I'm sure you get a lot of questions from people, you know, wanting to make things themselves. And, you know, I feel like that's what your newest Kickstarter project's been about, No Shortcuts. Do you want to tell us a little bit about No Shortcuts and who would benefit the most from this project?
Sure. So that's the first project in this new company of mine that it's not a physical product. Is a course that I want to say teach, but it's a way for us to share what we learned. And the reason why I did it was not out of passion, like all the other stuff that I do, but out of frustration, which is actually the opposite. And let me explain that a little bit. Because I had like a couple of, you know, Kickstarter successful campaign, and I made a couple of products that people use and stuff, I became known as a person that can make products, right? It's like the reason why I'm here now, kind of thing.
Exactly.
And because of that, I received so many questions, like emails in every shape or form, you know, DMs or all that kind of things, of people that ask me stuff. And most often than not, I try to help these people, you know, sharing what I know, because I mean, it's just information. If I can say it, I'm going to say it. Like, I'm going to tell you. And very often, because I'm passionate about, it takes a lot of time. Like I reply to an email, maybe writing an email for like a couple of hours even. Like I did that multiple times. But super often they're not really serious. Like they just, ask the question and they don't really care about making a product. Or sometimes what they're looking for is just, sharing their ideas so I can tell them, great, this is an amazing idea. And if I don't do that, they get offended and never reply. But this is something that has a value to me because I like sharing, but it's really frustrating because, I mean, a few of them are great people that actually want to make products, but really a lot of them is just, I don't know. I don't even know why they take the time to ask me things if they know they'll never do stuff, or they're just looking for a shortcut to make money.
Right. Exactly.
So that's why I call the course No Shortcuts. Like you need to be sure like that this is not going to be easy. Like it's not like because you hope I'm going to tell the world in my YouTube channel about your product that you're going to make money and that's it. If you actually want to make this kind of things, you have to know that it's going to be super hard. You're going to have to work day and night toward your ideas and all. So at one point I said, fuck it, let's collect all these things that we know into a course. The first filter is going to be, if you're willing to spend a bunch of money, then there's a chance you actually investing your efforts, money and time towards a real thing.
Right.
And the company benefits from that too. Like it's not a great income. It's not like the primary income of the company, of course, but it's still better than nothing. And I don't have to, repeat the same things over and over to people that don't give a shit about it. If you want to have information, if you want to have a great way to learn these kind of things, then pay a little bit of money. It's a great filter, I think. And it benefits both. Plus, it's a great way to create a community around actual people that are interested and passionate about making products. So I think one element of value in this No Shortcuts is going to be even just the guys who make product, they talk to themselves and they, collab or share ideas. And I think it's going to be great. I do it with the intent of making a real difference in that regard. But again, there's no shortcuts. Like you can't go to, you don't buy this course thinking that there's going to be the tricks to make you a millionaire without efforts, because it's going to be fucking hard. Like seriously, it's going to be really, really hard. But at least you know what to do. It's kind of it's not trial and error.
Yeah, you're not going in blind, right? You've led the way already. So I think it's really valuable for people. There's a lot of people
I do it with that intent.
Yeah, there's a lot of people trying to make something, even if it's just like a little Etsy product, right?
Yeah.
And then that becomes too hard for them to produce enough. So they need to go into manufacturing somewhere, use someone else. Like those small bits of information that you've learned along the way, turning a little idea into quite a big product, and success, I think is super valuable for most.
Yes. And of course, I'm sharing my model of making things happen. Doesn't mean that that's the only way of doing things, but it's the one I know, and that I know that it works. So I think that's valuable. I'm not again, this is not really a thing that I'm doing to make money, because if I wanted to make money, there was like a lot of different ways to make courses to make a lot of money. First of all, the second tier, I could have done, 15 different courses at the same price, and I would probably sell a lot of them to a lot of different people.
Right.
But I put everything in one for a really, what I think is basically free for what you're actually going to do. Because if you think about gaining all that information by trial and error, it would be a lot more expensive. Trust me, because I did it. And so I think it's good value. And then the third one, it's everything that I said so far, plus one thing, which is all the legal part. From, so I think that one is like 1,500. It's like the most expensive, probably 1,000 euro. I don't remember how much it is. It's the most expensive, but if you're about to make a product reality, there's information there that would save you like thousands and thousands of dollars. Even knowing when and if to patent a thing, like patenting a product, it's super expensive. There's a lot of people that think that they should do that as soon as they have the idea, so no one can steal that. That's so stupid. You're gonna pay, I don't know, 10,000 euro to patent a thing that maybe it doesn't work or it's not even a great idea. There's ways and little tricks to not show what you're actually doing, even in the Kickstarter page. For instance, when I did the Maker Knife, I never showed the inside, even when I did the Kickstarter campaign. So I could patent it after I knew that the idea was validated and people liked it.
Right.
Even that little trick, like knowing that when you do your campaign or when you're sharing it to the world, if you know that you can share what you're gonna patent, like that's gonna save you so many thousands euro. And that's one little thing that you can find in that course. It sounds like I'm just promoting the course, but I mean, thanks for asking. And by the way, you can buy it now, so I'm not promoting anything, but I think it's super valuable too, and this is why it's the most expensive. First of all, not because not everyone needs it, and second of all, is because it's super valuable, and who makes the course is an actual lawyer. So
a lot of information there that I can imagine would be super valuable if you actually want to, put a product to market. I think it's great, and I applaud you for getting frustrated and deciding to do it. I think it's great. Before we get into the rapid fire 5, I just want to get this quick chance to thank my patrons for supporting the show. I do not take anyone for granted. I want to give a big shout out to my top tier heroes, I should say. Heroes, that's not the right word. Steen Sirhus, Sylvester Arneson, Andreas Vollman, and Ryan Wilson. If you guys look forward to every episode, please head over to Patreon and support the show. There's a link in the show notes. And now to the rapid fire 5 with Giaco. You ready?
I'll try.
What is something people get wrong about you, Giaco?
Most people that I like when I'm meeting new people, they think I'm a very serious and not fun person. And that's just because I'm very, very shy. So, I have always my sunglasses on. I don't smile or all that kind of things. But then when I start knowing people, I become like a goofball. And they always tell me, like, I really didn't think you were like that. So,
well, that's exactly my experience with you. So I'm hoping the goofball comes out.
I mean, I'm not going to change that.
No, I mean, that's who you are, right?
Yeah.
What's something you like doing that has nothing to do with making?
Oh my God. How much time do you have?
What's the latest thing?
I cook, I fly, free diving. I read a lot. I like movies. I play Call of Duty. I stay in bed doing nothing. Like that's one thing that I really like doing. Not everyone is good at it. I'm really good at it. Music. Music. I make music. I have a keyboard on my left here. VR, like I play VR now. I play ping pong. I do a lot of things.
That's a lot, and it's weird for me because I've often people only have a couple of things they kind of do, right? But it
No, I
seems like
can
you
go
got
over and over.
All right, I can imagine. What's the best piece of advice you've ever been given?
The best, I think, comes from my dad, which is if you want to start something, you need to start in the smallest way possible.
Right.
It's not something he told me, but it's something I learned from him. And it's so important. Like when I started this journey, making videos and products and stuff, I just sold my old company, right? So if I wanted from day one to, start with a place like this and a lot of machines and people, I could do that from day one.
Right.
But instead, I made the decision to start with 5,000 euro and nothing else. So if I could survive and go on with this journey with this 5,000 euro, then was the right way to do it. And it actually has been so important because during all that time that I didn't have what I have now, I learned incredibly a lot. Like I really learned a lot, and I, created the community and all these kind of things that even like making mistakes and being able to recover from them, I wouldn't be able to do it if from day one I already like spent like, I don't know, €1 million in all these kind of things.
Yeah, and you had 10 employees and all the rest.
Yeah. There's no way. It took me years, but first of all, this year has been really fun, and plus it's a lot more healthy, to get little by little, because you're always thinking about the step forwards that you have to make, but you need to keep in mind that what's actually even more important is knowing that you can take a lot of steps back. And that you can only do it if you start really, really small.
Yeah, just start somewhere, like on the simplest
from
thing.
From the smallest, simplest thing that you can do, not today, but right now.
That's the point, right?
Yeah.
Right now.
Yeah.
All right. What does happiness look like?
Oh my God.
Everyone gets stuck on this. Oh, some people nail it, but a lot of people get stuck on this question.
Okay, make it even more difficult. Well, I don't think there's obviously there's not an answer that goes for everyone. I think for me, happiness means knowing that happiness is just little parts throughout your life, and it's not either an ending point or like a continuous feeling that you can have forever. So if you know that happiness comes and go, and it's normally like very little small bits throughout all your life, then you can be happy. If you're just trying to reach that goal of happiness, you're never going to reach it. You're going to live your sucky life forever.
Right. Yeah. Just be grateful that you had those moments, right? Of just being
and
blissful
really
and happy.
Small. Yeah.
Interesting. The last question. Who should
Did I nail it?
You nailed it. You got it.
Okay, great. Thank you.
The last question. Who should be the next guest on this podcast?
Do I have to give you a name, or just because I would like? Why don't you take? Why don't you have a priest in your show?
Yeah. All right.
I mean, imagine how many things, like all the same stuff that you asked me. Well, not everyone, but not all of them, but like it would be interesting to hear what a person that is not connected in any way with like a normal life, what it would say about these things.
That's super interesting. I had a storyteller on this podcast, and those who listened to it were blown away by this podcast, and I got so much great feedback. So maybe a priest is a good guest to put on the podcast. Who knows?
I mean, yeah, it definitely has a way of seeing things that is completely different than a normal person.
I love it.
For sure.
I love it. All right, well, thanks, Giaco. Thanks for coming on the show. I really appreciate your time. It was an absolute pleasure. For those who perhaps don't know who you are, where do people go to find you?
I guess Google is the best way. You write Giaco or Giaco Whatever, and you're certainly gonna find something about me. If you see like a stupid Italian face popping up, that's me.
With sunglasses on, yeah.
Yeah, with sunglasses on.
There you go, guys. Look, go Google Giaco if you don't know who he is. I'm going to leave you with a quote from the author Scott Belsky. Remember to look at what others do and ask yourself a series of questions. Are their strategies and goals the same as mine? If their strategy and beliefs are different and you still have the conviction in your own, then you shouldn't be distracted. Stay the course. And I think that hopefully makes a lot of sense for you guys. If you're ever going to think about starting your own thing, making your own products, being distracted by what everyone else is doing often doesn't help the situation. So, I implore you guys to stay the course if you're truly passionate about what you're doing. I hope you guys got something from this episode and have been inspired to make your ideas reality. I'm Justin White. Thank you for listening. Until next time, keep pushing yourself, keep ballsing up things, keep learning, get inspired, and I'll catch you on the flip side. There we go. We're out. We're finished.
I love your radio voice.